Sawadee krap. I'm Stuart J. Raj, and this is Thai Bites for Cracking Thai Fundamentals and J Academy. I've got a task for you. Go to any Thai and ask them, why are there three classes for consonants? Why are the Thai consonants broken up into three classes? Akson Soong, the high class, Akson Klang, the middle class, and Akson Tam. Now, there are many different levels to this answer, and today we're going to go into a few of the levels that this can be answered at. But I guarantee you pretty much 99% of the Thai population would say because they're different. And how are they different? I don't know. ไม่รู้สิ. So today, let's go into seeing why there are three classes, and even more importantly, why are they called high, mid, and low if they don't actually, the high class doesn't mean high tones, mid class doesn't mean mid tones, and the low class doesn't mean low tones. So what does it mean? First of all, let's just have a look at what they are in Thai. So I've got my screen up here. This is my Indic consonant compass. And originally, I'll just pull up the IPA here. And so we'll see in original, in the Sanskrit or the Brahmi script, we have this beautiful map of the mouth, and it goes with the throat closed or stopped. And you can see I use that circle here as my stop throat. And so that would be ga, ga. You see that? Ga. It's not a G. And then we have this, and I use these two lines here. You can see the two lines sticking up. That's ka. That stands for aspiration. They're my symbols. And then you have voiced, and so that would be ga. So if I hear,
Ga.
now let's have a look at the next one. This is the aspirated K,
Ka.
and the voiced throat one, which is a G.
Ga.
Okay, so the Sanskrit system or the Brahmi Indic system is beautiful. It's this 5x5 map. It goes in the throat, ka, aspirated, ka, voiced, ga, voiced aspirated, ga, and then through the nose, nga. And it does those for each of the 5 points of your mouth. Ga 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 nga, cha 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 nya, ta 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 na, ta 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 na, ba 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 ma. Beautiful. And then the ya ra la wa folds into those points here too. And then your sha sha sa. Now all of those, if you've taken Thai cracking Thai fundamentals, you would know this. But basically, this is what happened into modern Thai. You can see that all the cerebral, these ones here have jumped down to dentals. And look at this. In modern Thai, all of these are not voiced anymore. So all these three sound identical. But if I click here in my green, you can go in again to jacademy.com and see this for yourself. Have a look here. These are the classes, the high class. I've got them highlighted. It's that second column and the S, because the throat has to be open for that. The middle class, that's this first column with the throat closed. And the low class, which were all the ones, if you have a look there in red, they were traditionally the voiced ones in Sanskrit. The G, G, Ng. You see, that's all using your voice. Yeah, as opposed to K, Ka, K. They're not using my voice. So let's come back to Thai now and see what's happened. Back here, now we have a look at our beautiful Thai genealogy tree in Yunnan, and basically all the way down to around about here, the letter, for example, Kho Kwai, that was still pronounced as a G. Okay, so they were still the old voiced consonants from Sanskrit. So now we're going to take a snapshot of what Thai used to look like back in ancient times. So this is around 700 AD. This is taken from Marvin Brown's work again. Now there's been some changes and some new research that's changed some of the thinking that was presented in Marvin Brown's studies. But this basically hasn't changed. We see originally in Thai that we had these three levels, and this is what the Thai writing system ended up being based on. We have the ones that are aspirated, so that's my symbol there. That would be traditionally like the kha. So this is your kha khai, and they were all aspirated there. So I'll put a K with a little H there. This next level were the ones within the throat. So they're the one where the throat closed at the beginning. Pa, ka. So I use for that one, I use a circle to represent the throat. And so that was like your gaukai, okay? And then I'll just put a normal K. So notice this has the K, the H for aspiration. This is Ka, no aspiration. And then we had the voice. So traditionally that would have been in Sanskrit G, like a G. Now in Thai, that's the current Kho Hwai. That would have been G. So you can see here we have the so this is the aspirated, that H stands for aspiration coming from that. We have so this question mark stands for the throat. They were glottalized or in the throat. And this is the G. They were traditionally voiced, the ones that corresponded to the voiced ones in Sanskrit that we just saw. Now, what happened in Thai? We had what's called the Great Tone Split. Now, what is a split? You might remember splits in English happening here. Now, this is some of the research done by Otto Jespersen between 1860 and 1943. That was his lifetime, and he did this study on the great vowel shift of English. So you can see from Middle English into Old English into Middle English into Modern English. For example, this E turned into an I. So the word time, team, team, time, to what we have currently. You can see all these changes happening in the vowels. Now in Thai, we had vowel changes, but we also had consonant changes. Have a look at this. In English, say these words. Ka, ga, ki, gi. Now, I've taken these voice prints from my own voice, and this is scanned from some linguistic software. But watch this. Ka, ka. See where it starts there, where my throat is? Now watch this. Ga. Now to your ears, it sounds like the same tone. This ah, they're about the same, but ga. Look at this. My throat dips down lower. Ki. It starts up high. Gi. Gi. My throat dips down lower. This is the voiced, where this is the aspirated. They use an H to represent this aspirated. So ka, ga, ki, gi. With the voiced ones, my voice goes down into a different register. Now, if you'd know any of the Chinese languages, Cantonese and Old Chinese, you'd know that you have your general tones would be, you have a high or the falling tone, rising, falling, and then this low tone. But what's happening in Cantonese and Old Chinese, they're broken into yin and yang. So you have these two registers. So you've basically got ma, 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 and then you've got the low register, ma, ma, ma. Okay, now traditionally, so this would be ka, ka, ka. Oh, sorry, ka, 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 ga, 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 ga. So these would be traditionally the voiced. So I put the G there to represent, and these would traditionally like the k version of the sounds. This is called a tone split, and this is why you have so many tones in Mandarin. In Cantonese, by the time they got to Mandarin, those tones have merged back. Just like in Thai, we've seen merging of tones. Now have a look what happened here in Thai. I'll open this up. Originally in Thai, there were only three tones. You had like a ka, 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 ka. So this is no tone marker. This is number one tone. Now we use as mai ek, and this is number two, mai to. You might know these mai tri and mai chatawa tone markers in modern Thai. Before, they didn't exist. They were just introduced later on to maybe be able to write some unnatural tones in the Thai sound system from Chinese and other languages. So in original Thai, we only had two tones. Now, what happened? We had a tone split. Now the first tone split happened in these languages that led into Bangkok Thai. These tones were basically the ones with the aspiration actually went down low. So this would be ka, ga, ga. You can see that. So this was the aspirated, glottalized, and voiced. And now the voiced ones all moved up into this higher register. The glottalized ones were just normal, and the ones with a big puff of air went down. Now, this is strange because at the same time in Sukhothai Thai, there wasn't a tone split yet. But if we have a look what happened in the Sukhothai branch of the tone split, they went more like the Cantonese. Have a look. So we have these aspirated ones, ka, going into the high register, ka, 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 and then the glottalized ga, ga, ga. Now you can see ka, that starts higher, ga, but the tone contour here, these tone contours are identical. And then the ga, ga, ga. Tone contours are identical for no tone marker, number one tone, and number two tone. By that time, however, we had this tone split in these are the ones that led into Ayutthaya. Ayutthaya. So they already had this split, which was the opposite. So in the Sukhothai branch, all of these tones from the aspirated went into a higher register of the voice. The ones with the throat were in this middle register, and the voiced ones, went into the lower register. Now, the opposite happened in Ayutthaya. The aspirated ones went into the lower register. The glottalized ones went into the middle register, and the voiced ones, g, went into the high register. You can see how they're the opposites. These two from Ayutthaya and Sukhothai are opposites. Now, what happened? By this time, and this split happened, in Ayutthaya, they still didn't use the writing system of King Ramkhamhaeng, but they soon brought it over somewhere between 1350 and 1500 from Sukhothai. And these tones here, so all the scholars from Sukhothai, they're saying, well, we don't get it. Why is this? Now, by the time that they spoke it there, these were still voiced. This voicing got lost later on, but they said, we don't understand. Why do you say this word, for example, the word for leg? In Sukhothai, they would say the word for leg like ka. But if here in Ayutthaya, they would say the word for leg ka, ka, ka. So what do we do? Well, we have to come back to here. The Thai said, well, it's spelt with, let me just click the Thai letter here. So if we have a look at the word ka, it's spelt with this letter here.
ขอ
Ha. Okay. Now they both spelt them the same, but pronounced them differently. So the Sukhothai people said, well, look, we pronounce all these ones with a generally high tone. So we'll call them the high class. We pronounce all these ones here
กอ
in this column
จอ
with a generally middle tone. So we'll call them the middle class. And we pronounce these ones here,
คอ
and all of these basically, which we call the low class, with a lower kind of tone. So we'll call those the low class. Now, to the people in Ayutthaya, they said, yeah, whatever. You say they're high, mid, low. To us, they're not, but they're good labels. And so they just use those labels for high, mid, and low class, even though it didn't represent the current tones of Ayutthaya and then Bangkok. So if we have a look here at these tone contours, the word ka would be, the word leg would be ka. The word ka, so this ka would be pronounced ka, as opposed to ka in Sukhothai. The sound ka would be pronounced ga, and ga, very similar. They're in that mid-range, and this ka here in Sukhothai would be ka, but in Ayutthaya would be ga. Okay, ka, or with the voice ga. Now soon the G turned into a k, making the sounds the same, so ka. But you have a look here. This is the tone contour sound that then looks like the current Bangkok tones that we see today. So these are the Bangkok tones that we see today, and the current one that we would learn for Central Standard Time. Now, I haven't mentioned long deads and short deads, but for example, that would be rak as opposed to rak. One is long, rak, and it dies, it gets killed or it's stopped in the throat. And we have the short stops. They have an effect on the tones, but you have a look. Here are the tone contours. So that word ka would be here. Ka. This would be ka. This would be ka. This would be ka. And this would be kat. Can you see those? Now, if I pronounce those same words, you can see these tone contours. You have different tone contour patterns, but based on that same template of high class, middle class, low class, alive, normal, mai ek, first tone, long dead, mai to, short head for every single dialect of Thai. So if we go to Isan, you want to say the word ka in standard Thai, well, it becomes ka. If you wanted to say the word gin khao, gin khao in normal Thai, so this would be gin khao to gin khao. So here is gin khao, gin khao. What are those blocks there? So here we go, gin khao. If I take it to Central Thai, sorry, to Isan Thai, it would turn into gin khao, gin khao, gin khao. Every single one of these dialects has a slightly different tone map for them, and some of them have different vowels and different consonants too. But it's just by chance that in Bangkok we use this as the standard Thai, and that this tone map over here is applicable. This one here is applicable for Central Thai, but there are actually hundreds of different tone maps for all the different Thai dialects. Why do we call them high, mid, and low class? Because in Sukhothai, the original Thai, which you have a look in Southern Thai dialects here. So if you have a look here, all this Sukhothai branching into Southern Thai, they still pronounce these high the aspirated ones that were traditionally aspirated with a high tone, the ones that were traditionally glottalized with a middle tone, and the ones were traditionally voiced with a low tone. So the terminology stuck from Sukhothai, but it's just transferred across and just placed on top of the sound system of standard modern Thai, or from Ayutthaya, and then what we use as Bangkok Central Standard Thai. So if you've learned from Cracking Thai Fundamentals, you'd learn all those tricks so you can remember the tone classes now and the different tones that are linked into them. But I hope this has helped you in understanding a little bit more about tones in Thai. I'm Stuart J. Raj, and this is Thai Bites for Cracking Thai Fundamentals and J Academy. Sawadee krap.